Mic check 1 2 1 2. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. You are on 8637 TV. You are on Noles After Dark. We're gonna talk, I guess, a little bit about Florida State versus Cal. Not sure what there really is to talk about, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. I got turn that down a little bit. I feel like it's a little too loud. I got Nebraska and Illinois on in the background. Actually, a very good game. Watching a sensational freshman quarterback. And Luke Altmaier, of all people, has turned into a very solid quarterback. Maybe we should let Brock Glenn take his lumps and maybe, the experience. Who knows? He could end up like Luke Altmaier. Who knows? That's just a random thought. But hit that like button, subscribe, and share. You are on the most interactive Florida State YouTube channel on the internet. So y'all already know how we do. Get the comments in, like button, subscribe, share if you're new. We'll hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Please go ahead and share the video. Let's get everybody on up in here on this, what is, again, a Friday night for you all and a Saturday early afternoon for why the flea flicker there, I don't know, but Nebraska just got a flea flicker for like 11 yards. But early Saturday afternoon for me. We're almost there. I'm almost home, guys. It is about 30 days. We're about 30 days, and I'm back in the States, back in the studio, back with your regularly scheduled programming. Back on normal time zones, all of that good stuff, man. So, yeah, that's what we got going on over here. 24-24, Nebraska and Illinois. Again, this has been a very good game if you've been watching it. Good quarterback play. Nebraska actually just got a turnover. Illinois was driving. You got 5 minutes left in the fourth. I think Matt Rule is a good football coach, and he's turning this Nebraska program around, I think. And I think they got the young quarterback to lead the charge there. So I think Raiola's got 3 touchdowns on the game for 275. But y'all didn't come here to listen to me talk about Nebraska. Y'all probably came to listen to me try to explain FSU. Before we get into FSU, man, I want to do we don't have a lot of people in the chat. We don't have a lot of people in the comment section. So I'm kind of just waiting to see if more folks stumble on in here. I get it is late. It is late. I think it's like 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern. So I get all of that. So I'm just kind of waiting and doing a little filler here while I'm watching this drive as Nebraska. Ooh, good tackle right there on the first down. Illinois looks like an actually solid football team from what I've seen so far. Again, they got solid quarterback play, a fairly good defense. Dennis Briggs, by the way, he plays for Illinois. And I think he's made a couple tackles tonight. Would have loved to keep him in garnet and gold for that defensive tackle depth, but we chose otherwise. So it is what it is. And again, Luke Altmaier, I'm pretty sure Florida State fans remember that name. He is the starting quarterback. He went to Ole Miss, transferred to Illinois, and he looks pretty solid. He did have that fumble, right? But throwing the football, he's looked pretty solid. Looks pretty solid. So it is what it is there. Let's you know what? We'll just get into it, and we'll circle back around if need be to the chat. But I'm not going to pay too much attention to chat right now. And just Florida State versus Cal. I'm going to say the same things that I said last week. Very hard for me to pick my Noles to win, and Raiola just overthrew a touchdown. Very hard for me to pick my Noles. As long as DJU is as long as you're trotting out DJU, it's hard for me to pick Florida State. Now, I say that to say I don't necessarily believe Brock Glenn comes in and turns into whatever quarterback comparison you wanna give. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you that FSU is a better football team with Brock Glenn. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that FSU will score more points with Brock Glenn. What I am going to tell you is your team is not growing with DJ at the helm, and at a minimum, and he missed a field goal. At a minimum, if you're Mike Norvell and company, you have to figure out what exactly is Brock Glenn. At a minimum, if you're Mike Norvell, you have to let some of these recruits that you're trying to keep, we'll see how that plays out, but you have to let them see, well, who's exactly going to be throwing them the football next year potentially. A lot of these things is what you should be aiming for as you start the season 0-3 with almost zero possibility of a ACC championship game, zero possibility of a playoff. So what exactly, if you're a Florida State fan, what exactly are we playing for? What exactly are you holding on to this Owen? There's been like a little back and forth of like, well, what if Brock Glenn goes in there and he sucks? Okay, and again, what are you playing for? Quick question for the chat. Is anybody going to go watch Florida State in the Minor Key Car Bowl? Is anybody going to go back to Shreveport and watch that bowl game? Come on, let's be honest. FSU's not playing for anything, and no fan gives a damn about, the Duke Mayo Bowl. Like, no one cares about any of that. So, frankly, I could care less if FSU made a bowl game this year. What I want you to do is throw that quarterback out there, and I want to at least see what he is. If he sucks, then he sucks. That's fine. It is what it is. But I want to see what we have. I don't believe last year was a big enough sample size to really see what you had in Louisville and, of course, the Georgia game. Like, you're talking about a third-string true freshman last year that got thrusted into a situation that people definitely wasn't mentally prepared for. That at a minimum, he wasn't mentally prepared for that. Third-string quarterback gets thrown into the ACC championship game against Louisville, and then the Orange Bowl against the Georgia Bulldogs. Like, that's not a big enough sample size, in my opinion, to sit here and go, I know what I have in Brock Glenn. And again, I don't think the team is. I don't think you're building anything by continuously throwing out DJU. You're not. What is that ultimately accomplishing? I'm not so sure. But I would love to get y'all's opinions. I did see a super chat, so I need to go click on that one. Kusami in the building says everything you say about Nebraska playing to Dylan's. Everything you say about Nebraska playing to Dylan's favor. Well, Matt Wool's done a good job protecting his freshman quarterback. And his freshman quarterback's pretty good. And he's a smart football player. He makes very good decisions. I appreciate that. Appreciate the $2. $2 dono.
Clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
But just to continue to go on, so for me, if I'm gonna start picking Florida State to actually win football games, they got to bench DJ. I can't. Through the first 3 games, I've been pretty consistent, right? I'm not asking for Mike to be fired, though I think the first 3 games was an obvious wake-up call that there needs major staff overhaul, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you who's been saying that, hint, hint, But there needs to be a major, and maybe this 0-3 start was the epiphany, was the light bulb going off, was the glass shattering moment that made him somebody in that program. Hopefully, the head coach look back and go, okay, yeah, I've tried to be loyal to some of these guys that I like, but I need to overhaul this recruiting, this coaching staff, period, from recruiting standpoint, even to just some of the on field stuff. But you can't continue to, while we understand the 0-3 start maybe has sparked some stuff on the staff, I still think on the field there needs to be, you know what I'm saying, some changes on the field as well. And again, I'm not calling Brock Glenn the next Chris Winkie. Hell, I'm not saying Brock Glenn's the next Jordan Travis. I'm not saying Brock Glenn's the next EJ Manuel. I want him, to me, he just needs to play because the season's over. It's crazy to say 0-3, but the fact is the season's over. Because the goals at the beginning of the season was what? Charlotte, playoff. Those two goals are done. So now exactly what are you playing for? So what should you be playing for is building to next year. What should you be playing for is keeping guys like Wayne McCoy probably on this roster and out of the portal. Keeping Elijah Moore on this roster and out of the portal. Charles, like keeping a lot of these guys out of the portal because I saw somebody put in the comment section, free my youngins. Yeah, free them. Sure. You better hope you keep them. That's what that's my hashtag. Forget free my youngins. Keep them. Keep my youngins because you continue to play DJ out there. I mean, what does that say? And I had a post on, or I reposted something. Well, yeah, I quote tweeted something because I forget who it was, but one of the young players who said that, free my youngins. I find that interesting personally that a young player would say that with the cameras on him, free my youngins. It tells me now this is just me like speculating here, like obviously I don't have any insight on this, but it just tells me if a freshman is on camera saying free me, essentially, probably doesn't have a lot of respect for the guys that are starting over him. And when I say respect, I don't mean he don't respect them as a person. I don't think, but he probably thinks he's just as good, if not better, than the guy that he sees. Then he sees every day in practice. So for me, I've been against the youth movement, but I think the more, and again to my original point, because I just kind of talked in a big circle here, but to my original point is I haven't called for Mike Norvell's job yet. All I've said is he needs to change. But what I will say is the more he continues to run number 4 out there, I can't defend it. And the more you watch this team, can we be honest? I was accused very early of being emotional when I said FSU looked like a 5-6 win team. Is that still, is what I'm saying not that? Does anybody see a path to victory? You got Cal. It's not going to be an easy game. Just call it what it is. Is SMU going to be easy game? No. So the soft part of your schedule you've struggled with. The back half of your schedule is North Carolina, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami. I mean, what are we talking about? So again, am I crazy when I said after game 1, if it was either game 1 or game 2, when I was like, man, this team doesn't look like a 6-win team. And people are like, oh, you just being emotional. You just raging right now. That Show me 7 losses. Show me 6. I just show. Here we are. So I cannot continue to defend Mike. I can defend Mike if you go play Brock Glenn. If you trot Brock Glenn out there and you say, you know what, we just gonna take our lumps, and what happens. I see the vision. But if you're gonna continue to stay loyal to this 5th-year super senior who's been stagnant really for the last 3 years of his career, right? Most people that knew ball pretty much told everybody, look, man, DJ is what he is. The only silver lining of hope someone like me had for DJU was maybe we scheme to his strengths. Maybe we put him in positions to be successful with what he does well. Well, not only does it seem like we've done that, you can watch DJU and just see like it's not he's not seeing the field. By the time he's seeing, it's too late. Yes, the offensive line isn't doing him any favors. That's fair. But if you see the field quicker, then you have more time. Like there's a lot of things to pack when it comes to the whole DJU thing. He's flat. Like even last week, that 67-yard pass to Benson. If he puts it out in front of Benson has to slow down and damn near stop to catch that ball. If he puts it out in front, Benson walks into the end zone. Not only mentioned, if you look at the top of the screen, Portier, I think it was Kentron. I think it's Kentron. Don't quote me on the exact player, but I think it was number 1. The defender tries to jam him off the line of scrimmage, and Kentron just whoops him. He's wide open at the top of your screen. So again, he's not seeing the field. Some of that is I don't think Mike Norvell's letting him read, which he shouldn't. Should not let him read the defense. He's giving him one read in the check down, which is absolutely fine with me, but because I don't trust DJ really to make the right decisions. There's just so much. There's just so much that you can really pack on when it comes to continuing to start DJU. If you can, and I be honest with you, I fully expect DJU to start against Cal. I would love to be wrong and see number 11 go out there. Would love to be wrong. But I think number 4 is going to start. And the more you continue to do the same things on offense and expect different results, that's insanity. And then maybe I might change my tune on this head coach. As of right now, I'm not. I'm going to tell you what I would really – if we don't make changes in the offseasons, then I'm all 100% in on the fire Mike Norvell train. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I understand the extension he just signed, and I understand the money aspects of that. But if we don't make major changes this offseason to the entire staff, 35 seconds, by the way, looks like we might be going to overtime here in Lincoln, Nebraska. If we don't make major changes to the entire staff, I'm talking about a major rehaul. There's probably 1 or 3 guys at most that I would keep on this staff. I would probably major rehaul. I would probably tear the whole thing down. Maybe keep 3 guys at the most. Yeah, 3 guys at the most. I'm really only leaning towards 2, and 1 isn't popular. But obviously, Surtain, I wouldn't fire him, and I actually would keep Alex Atkins. I would just get him some help, a co-OC, or demote him back to just O-line. I don't think you want to demote him, at least not publicly, but a co-OC. But I would probably keep Atkins on the staff. On a short-term contract, though. But we'll see how we look against Cal. With Atkins back, by the way. Let me get to some comments. I haven't paid much attention to the comments, so I want to get back to some comments. But again, guys, hit the like. Playing to keep these young guys on the team. There's no real depth behind them to scare them out. So that's a decent point, Casey. Like, there's no depth behind them necessarily to scare them. I agree with that. But also, would you want to Would you want to stay on a team that's losing and for some reason won't play you? Like, and then let's keep it a beam. This recruiting class is going to be like maybe they'll scrounge it together. This recruiting class is going to be a 22 ranked recruiting class in the nation. Like if we're just like we understand. I think most of us can understand. Recruiting class isn't going to be good, right? FSU's going to have to go heavy into the portal again. Even if you make all the coaching changes that I want made, you're just behind the 8 ball right now this year with recruiting. You're going to have to go in the portal again. That front seven needs complete rebuild. Do those kids want to stick around for all of that? Keep my youngins. I hear what you're saying, but we've seen stranger things in the transfer portal era. You can't just assume that because they're young and there's no depth behind them that they'll stay, because we know that not to be true. I agree with this. There's definitely building blocks for the future. This roster isn't, it's been mismanaged, but it's not a lack of talent. I think a quarterback would fix a lot of things, a lot of the problems we have offensively. I think with a legit quarterback, FSU would still be a 9-8 win team. Let's just say we had got Cam Ward. I think FSU's a 9. That 10-2 I originally predicted. With Cam Ward, you're probably 10-2, 9-3. Worst case scenario, 8. Because good quarterbacks can mask and ultimately can a lot of times fix some of the deficiencies that the entire offense has. Defensively, they're kind of getting together. I think your defense is good enough. Not championship caliber like it was last year, but it's good enough. But with DJU, what's going on, Ice Cold Noel? Panama says, Mike Norvell done got too damn relaxed to me off of the 2 10-plus win seasons and a contract extension. He knows his job is in jeopardy, and he coaches like that. I don't want to put that on. I don't want to say like he's relaxed. I think he was confident in what he was doing, and I think he got a wake-up call. I think he got a wake-up call. Yeah, I did see that video as well. It amazes me that the same Mike Norvell that started a hole in rotor maker sold during the first program is okay with this 0-3 losing streak. What's going on, Irv? He says, what's good? I think losing Dillingham might have hurt more than we thought. I'm not going to go that far. Sorry. Shout out to Kenny, man, but let me finish. I think we hit on Portal big on offense, so they hid some of the play calling issues with Mike. Your thoughts? Okay. Yeah, I look, good job for Kenny Dillingham. We can't pretend like Arizona State didn't have 1 or 2 wins last year, whatever that was. Look, good job on Kenny. I think he started off the season very good this year so far. But again, good game going on here in Nebraska and Illinois. But the problem isn't a Kenny Dillingham issue. It's a personnel issue. FSU's recruiting has came to finally bite them in the ass. They finally had a transfer portal offseason that they didn't quite hit on all the way. The lack of development. Everybody told me this staff develops. Well, the lack of development is glaring. Okay. No ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? I've talked about this at length. And again, even though I said I want to keep Atkins, but I put him on a short-term deal. Again, this is just me spitballing here. Probably none of this is feasible. But that vaunted recruiting class that we always credit or used to credit Atkins about, no one on that class is here except for 2 guys that can't play seemingly, Julian Armella and Jalen Early. So you haven't developed anything, and you really haven't recruited much on the offensive line. The high school ranks. The recruiting is came to bite them in the ass. I fully believe if DJ can't get it done versus Cal, we will 100% see Brock start at Memphis. You mean SMU? Because we just lost to Memphis. Also, the freshman wide receivers will start getting more playing time. He says, I don't see Mike making big changes. Three to four changes is big changes. If we're talking about the staff, 3 to 4 coaching, I mean, that's big enough changes. Like when I say overhaul the whole staff, again, I'm speaking from a fan perspective of, in college football 25, I'm going to fire everybody. Truth be told, realistically, if you're changing 3 or 4 coaches out, those are big changes. Who are the changes? I mean, I don't think Fuller ever goes anywhere. I feel like Mike wants Adam Fuller tied at his hip, but we'll see whatever happens with that. But you got to think that I can't tell you who the changes are because it's going to be a tough decision for Mike to make regardless. But 3 to 4, those are big changes. Why would we want? Listen, I can respect Dan Mullen as a play caller. We just sat here and talked about the lack of recruiting on this staff. I don't know what bringing Dan Mullen does for you. FSU needs to get horses in the race. Dan Mullen as an OC, absolutely, positively not. Because recruiting and winning are not, remember, I don't know if people remember this, but everybody talked about how if Florida State starts winning, they start recruiting. I've watched this sport for a long time, man, and like I've always said, recruiters recruit. Yes, does winning help? Absolutely. But recruiters recruit. Recruiters recruit. That's how. Made for the Ville. It's been a long time. He says, 10-team parlay. I need y'all to bust Cal. Salute. Yeah, nobody's counting on that. I appreciate you, though. But nobody's counting on us beating Cal. At least I'm not. Thanks for that $10, though.
Click a deep clank. The money goes into my biggie. Bang.
Yeah, we'd be a better team with Shadur as well. I don't know if he'd be in the playoffs. Again, I don't know if he'd be in the playoffs, but we'd be a better team for sure. 30 days. 30 days. 30 days. 30 days. You're not going to fire all 10 assistants, is the point. So, again, 3 to 4 is big moves because those 3 to 4 are not going to be your linebacker. It's not going to be Ernie Sims, and Nebraska just lost to Illinois at the end here on the overtime. When I say 3 to 4 is big moves, because it's your big positions. Just to name some guys, the Ron Dugans, those guys, the Chris Thompsons, the JP, those big impact positions. Those are the 3 to 4. But you're not. I could give a damn less if Derek Ray, who everybody seems to have this vitriol and hate for all of a sudden, is fired or not. People's attentions are in the wrong place when it comes to this staff. People want to call out the GM and recruiting coordinator as the problem with this team, and it starts way higher than that. So I don't care about low-level GAs and assistants and linebacker coaches, and I don't care about that. I'm talking about the Randy Shannons of the world, the JPs of the world, the Ron Dugansons, the Coach Yaks, like all of those guys. Those will be the big 3 to 4 changes that will really, in my opinion, affect what's going on. That is bad. That's my point. Recruit. If it was all about winning, if it was all about winning, I mean, we know the outcome, right? So I got caught up. I'm caught up in all the comments. So I called this a Cal preview. It's not really going to be much of a Cal preview because I'm like, I mean, I guess I can. You know what? We'll make a Cal preview. Let's just look and see what exactly Cal has going for themselves. Let's see here. Come on. All right, here we go. By the way, I guess I should just throw this out there. DJ has 666 yards for the year. I don't know if you're a religious person or not, but that's a significant number to most people who know. 666. By the way, he has 1 touchdown on the year, 2 interceptions, and he's taken 8 sacks. 8 sacks. Yeah. FSU is averaging, by the way, 2.2 carries on the year rushing the football. Lawrence Toafili is the only guy that's averaging 5 yards a carry. I mean, Jalen Lucas was, but he only had 2 carries, so I'm not going to count that. Roy Dell is averaging 2.7 yards a carry. I don't know why we continue to give him the ball. These stats, these offensive stats for Florida State are atrocious. They are absolutely disgusting to look at. They are absolutely disgusting to look at offensively. 0-3. Let's look at Cal, man. So you go to Cal. They have Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback. He's completing 70% of his passes with 589 yards, but he has 5 TDs and 1 interception. He has been sacked 9 times. That's one of the things that I have heard about Cal, is that they do not have a great offensive line, and that FSU's D-line, if they play like they played against Memphis, should have a relatively decent day against Cal. So we'll see. We'll see how our D-line plays, and can we get our hands on the quarterback a few times. You have Javian Thomas, 241 yards on the year, 7.8 yards a carry. As a total, Cal is averaging 4.2 yards per carry on the year. I mean, better offense than Florida State's for sure. Then they got a couple guys on defense. They got Teddy Buchanan with 2.5 sacks. The linebackers, Xavier Carlton with 2.5 sacks. They have 6 sacks on the year. I didn't even look and see how many Florida State sacks. I don't think it's 6. I don't think FSU has 6 sacks. I'll tell you that. I'm about to go look though. FSU has FSU has exactly 6 sacks on the year as well. So both teams have 6 sacks on the year. Both teams have 6 sacks on the year. If they can run the ball, we're done. Probably. If they can run the ball, yeah. I mean, that's what every team's been able to do. Every team's been able to run the ball. For the most part, every team has been able to kind of establish a line of scrimmage. Let's go. The crazy thing about FSU is we're not getting. It's look like I'm looking at these scores, man. 24-21, 28-13, like 20-12. Like you give up 20 points and you still find a way to lose some of these games. It's really just nasty work offensively. It's hard to defend any of it. I'm not trying to defend any of it at this point. I personally just want FSU to move on from this quarterback. The Memphis only ran for 65 yards and 2 yards a carry on us, and yet they were still able to win that football game. FSU ran for 1.5 yards a carry against Memphis. That is disgusting work. The offensive numbers, man, if you go look at them, they are for an offensive head coach, he should be ashamed of himself. For an offensive kid, this is where we'll kind of get into let's just talk real quick. Let's just talk. For an offensive head coach, how do you not have? How is somebody not fired already? Like you the offense, like you're supposed to be this play caller. You're supposed to be this offensive guru. And through 3 games, you're looking at one of the most inept I mean, I can't even think of the words to describe this offense. Just some nasty stuff offensively. And you haven't made any personnel changes, coaching changes. Like you've been steadfast and stand pat on what you've seen for the first 2 games. I don't know if you're Mike Norvell, I don't know what he's I don't know. I can't rationalize it. I can't understand what he's seeing that makes him go, you know what? We're running the ball at 2 yards a carry. My quarterback is at 50% completion rate for the year or something like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with. Somebody, please explain it to me if you can. Somebody, please explain it to me. The quarterback has more interceptions than touchdowns. 56% completion percentage. Mackenzie Milton with a busted leg runs better than DJ Uyunglele leg. Like what? I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm watching anymore. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm watching, and I can't. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to figure it out. The bright spots on the team, if we want to talk some positivity, the bright spots on the team, in my opinion, are I think some of the younger defensive players like Justin Cryer and Daniel Lyons, who actually leads the team in sacks. Guys like Conrad, like all these young guys are the guys that you really gotta, these are the guys that it seems like they are the guys that are hungry. They are the guys that want it. Man, I don't like coming on here and talking like this. To be quite honest with you, I really wish we were I had a lot more fun the last couple years talking about Florida State football. I really don't like it. And what I hate the most is that it's year 5, 4 or 5, however you want to justify the COVID year, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that. Um, that's the two things that's most disappointing for me. When this game's over, so I can turn this off. The two things that are most disappointing for me is that it's year 5, and that this was so preventable because anybody with any sense, anybody that knows, like, I get it, man. Some of you guys are casual fans, and there's nothing wrong with being casual. Matter of fact, I would argue that being a casual fan is a lot more better for your mental health. But for those of us that watch this stuff and that we follow recruiting, and not just, again, not casually, but we follow this stuff, you could see this coming. I think that is the most frustrating part, is you could see this coming a mile away, but a lot of us were quiet on some of this stuff or weren't as adamant on it because you were winning football games. You know? But I've been asking for staff changes the last couple years, to the chagrin of all the Florida State fans who kept telling me, why do we want to change staff? We're winning all these games. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, fine. My whole position was continue to improve your foxhole. Military term there. But the point is, continue to, just because you're doing well doesn't mean you don't improve. You continue to improve. And again, for me, that's the most frustrating part, is that it all just kind of crashed at one time. But you could see it coming. You can't recruit the way you recruit in that front 7, and then you look at that front 7. Honestly, Florida State fans, you have no right, myself included, you have no right to be mad at Justin Cryer. You have no right to be mad at Omar Graham. You have no right to be mad at DeMarco Ward. They are what they are. They are what they are when they were recruited as the 600th ranked linebacker in the country, as the 900th ranked player in the country. They are what they are when they were recruited. They are what they are when I said they recruited them and when other people said it. We don't have any right to be mad. They recruited this caliber of player, and we expect, because they were wearing garnet and gold, for everybody to play like Lawrence Timmons or Telvin Smith or name linebacker here. Well, those guys, I don't know. What were their recruiting rankings coming out of high school? Dare I ask that question? We have no right to be mad. You could see what was coming a mile away. I kept talking about the defensive line depth over and over this offseason. I'm glad Daniel Lyons is stepping up. But Grady Kelly, I told y'all what that was. I guess he gives you snaps. We should have kept Dennis Briggs. We should have kept Malcolm Ray. And for nothing else, to have that rotation in there, you're asking too much of Farmer. And I'm not giving Farmer or Jackson a pass because they haven't played up to par. But you're asking too much of those guys to play snap in, snap out, whilst trying to get Daniel Lyons and KJ Sampson ready. Denaz White and Jamori Flagg they're not going to play this year, and they don't need to play this year. I'm mad at Norvell. He's the one responsible for the product on the field. It's year 5. No excuses for it. Who knew all those hidden gems would end up being Cole? Yeah, who knew that all those hidden gems? I'm glad you said it, Jonathan. Cryer had a good game last week, and I think Cryer can be a good player. So you hit on one guy out of 6 is the point. I'm not even counting Blake Nicholson in that, because Blake Nicholson, go figure, is the 1 4-star in that group who actually looks solid. Go figure. The lone blue chip player in the linebacker group who actually looks like he has tools to work with. But yeah, from what I see from Cryer, I think Cryer is a solid player. I do. Marvin Jones Jr. was a big bust. I'll be the first to admit that one. As a guy who was excited that he finally came over, he plays like a guy he doesn't either want to play football or he just doesn't want to be in Tallahassee. That's how he plays. He plays like a guy with that almost plays football because his name is Marvin Jones. Like, seriously. If DJU was a bit what? Oh, that's funny. Okay, Zoe, you're finna get put in timeout. Hold on, I gotta put Zoe in timeout because he said some BS. Hold on. I love you, Zoe. I really do, but I gotta put you in timeout for that comment. Bring Dion to Tallahassee to do what? Let's put you in timeout. Put Zoe in timeout. I don't know how long you're gonna be in timeout, Zoe. I ain't decided that yet, but you just gotta be in timeout. That was no. Heck no. Am I gonna continue to college? Yeah, I when I get home, I think I'm a restart it and get it back up. I just haven't with me packing, get ready to actually leave this country. Haven't had time to get into back to doing those videos. It takes a lot to edit those videos. I don't know if anybody that knows like those. It takes. For a 20 to 30 minute edited video, it takes like 2 to 3 hours just to edit that and get it how I want it. So I'm gonna do it. I just haven't had the time to do them. I'm glad some people like them. And plus, to be honest with you, those videos don't get a lot of views. I do them just because they're fun and I like to do them. But there hasn't really been a push for me to do more of those videos because those videos barely break 200 views. So there's not a lot of incentive either. But I'll get back to doing it. The fact that some people like them is cool. Yeah, I had to put him in timeout. Zoe was good until the Dion stuff. Like, what are we talking about? Bring Dion to Tallahassee to do what? So yeah, man, that's just kind of me getting my frustrations out over the first 3 games. Is like a lot of the stuff that's happening you kind of see coming at this point. How do you fix it? Well, it's not gonna be overnight. There's nothing you can do. Like you have who you have at this point, offensively and defensively. You kind of have who you have. And the best you can do is just shake up your alignments. Blake is still learning the terminology of playing linebacker. By the time next year, he'll be a baller. O-line development needs to be in question. No, you're not wrong. 100% not wrong. Anybody that's questioning O-line development, anybody that's questioning Alex Atkins is fully justified. I hinted at Alex Atkins, I want to say a year ago. I don't remember exact, but I kind of hinted at it. But I didn't want to go full on with it because, he took over again. We loved Alex Atkins early on because he took over what was really maybe our O-line looks like what our linebackers look like now. Like that's how our O-line used to look. And it hasn't been great this year, but I probably will stand on this mountain alone. I think a lot of our O-line's problems start with the guy under center. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I told you guys at the beginning of the season that our O-line didn't have elite level players, but it was good enough to be very solid. So it's showing that we don't have elite level players, but they don't get any help by the guy that's under center. But our O line used to look like the way our linebackers look like now. Like guys used to not look playable on the O line, right? So when he takes over that job and just having a functioning offensive line a year or two in, Atkins was on a pedestal. But we're 5 years in. None of the guys you've recruited. Look at his O-line. Who's he recruited out of high school? Nobody that he's recruited out of high school is even a starter. Barely on the 2 deep jet chart. Robert Scott, unfortunately for him, was probably the brightest star, or had the best maybe potential that Atkins has recruited in terms of actually being on a starter. And he's been injured so much he can no longer seem to play football. Lucas Simmons, they're saying he was injured last year, so that stunted his development, which means we don't see Lucas Simmons probably for another year or two. Where's the development? People that are asking about Alex Atkins and questioning him, and even people that are like, yo, what's going on? They are, in my opinion, fully. Anytime you start 0-3, everybody's on the chopping block. And there's nobody that's above reproach. The only guy that you can sit here and go, I don't have any qualms, is honestly Patrick Surtain. I think that's the only guy. Everybody else deserves whatever criticism comes their way. We will see how he looks when he's back. This upcoming year doesn't change. Norvell jump-started the rebuild through the portal, but ironically, because he dropped the ball with making changes, he will not have to rely on the portal to begin again. The problem is what I kind of always said. I am a fan of the portal. I believe you can use the portal effectively, especially because of the new rules that have happened where freshmen can transfer. So you're getting guys with 4 to 3 years of eligibility. I mean, FSU just got Jaylen Brown out of the portal. He's a redshirt freshman. You might as well say you got him out of high school, right? So I still think you can use the portal, but I think there's certain positions that you have to build organically because you're not gonna get quality, in my opinion, offensive tackles out of the transfer portal. You're not going to get quality. Your quarterback needs to be a high school guy that you're building and developing and nurturing. There's just certain positions that you need to get out of high school. Other positions, I think you can do a good combination of both. I think you can get good linebackers out of the portal, but and combine them. Like having Tatum, but if we had recruited the linebacker position better, I got no problem bringing in the Cam Rileys and some of these other guys in that linebacker room. Problem is you recruited it down here. And if your portal players don't hit, it's a wash. That's the problem, right? That's the problem. I don't think Atkins makes a difference. He may have already hit his ceiling. He may have. Kojiak has recruited well at running back. I don't disagree with that, Derek. I would argue I don't have a big argument against Coach Johnson. However, I don't have a great argument for him either. It's running backs. Can you not get another guy to recruit running? And you probably can get someone as good or if not better than Coach Johnson. Is all I'm saying. I don't have a like again. If you want to keep him on the staff, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. If you fired him, I ain't against it either because I think it's running backs, and I think you should always be able to recruit running backs. Thoughts on Douglas not blocking for Brown on that screen? Do y'all think that is a borderline put in timeout question, Irv? This is borderline. I'm putting you in time. This is you. Did you come up with that or did you hear that somewhere? Let me tell you what the problem with that play was. Douglas is 5'9", 180 pounds. That's the problem with that play. I'm not gonna make excuses for Ja'Kai Douglas on that play. Yeah, he could have blocked better than he did. But there's two scenarios. There's two things playing against FSU's favor in that particular play. The fact that there's no threat deep, so the defense doesn't care about anything that going over the top, and they're triggering to everything downhill. They know the short pass is coming. They know the screen's already coming. Everything they're triggering immediately because there's no threat, and the guy that you asked to block is 5'9", 180 pounds. Not because he's jealous of Jaylen Brown and NIL. Like, you was this close or this close. That's crazy. For the most part, you're right. Elite. Now, we have seen the Walter Nolens, the Jarrett versus Walter Nolan. I'll disagree here, but I think you're right. But here's what I'll disagree with. We have seen elite defensive linemen at the portal. The problem is a lot of those guys already know where they're going. Jarrett Verse was the exception because he was coming from Albany. He actually vetted the recruiting process. The Walter Nolens, a lot of those elite defensive linemen that hit the portal, they already kind of know where they're going, which is one of the reasons why they hit the portal. So you don't really get to recruit elite defensive linemen out of the transfer portal, which is why you need to recruit them out of high school. But if you can get that inside track, you can get elite defensive linemen out of the portal. But again, usually they already know where they're going before they even declare for the transfer portal. Due to back channels, we know the game, right? We know how the game being played. KCS says, my conspiracy theory is Mike saw during the fall this team wasn't going to have what it takes. So he decided to keep the older guys on the field to keep other teams away from our young guys. KCS, I don't know how that... And again, I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful. I don't know how that makes sense. I'm going to read it again. Maybe I'm just not comprehending it. Mike saw during the fall that this team wasn't going to have what it takes. So he decided to keep the older guys on the field to keep other teams away from our younger guys. Wouldn't you want to put the younger guy? If you came to the assessment, again, based on what you're saying, if Mike saw during the fall that, this team ain't it, why would he play the older guys so the younger guys would get upset and hit the train? If you're keeping the young guys off the field, that's more incentive. That's more of an incentive for them to hit the portal. It doesn't make sense to me. I'll be honest with you. This don't make sense to me. Man. High school recruiting is your foundation, where you build your culture. Portal is just meant to supplement deficiencies when needed. Douglas should not be blocking. Irv says he heard it. I would love to know who you heard it from. Again, not even saying I ain't got all the answers. I'm just saying, like, unless you heard that from a credible source, and we all can define what's credible or not. Again, I'm just a light skin on YouTube, so I'm not credible. I'm simply saying, if you heard that from a YouTuber somewhere, God bless you. Yeah, that's the guy, if I'm not mistaken. That's the guy from Purdue. He's a Texas native, and I think a lot of. But see, that's a guy. Like, I won't say we missed on him. That's a guy that's a Texas native, and everybody knew before the portal he was going to Texas A&M. It's just those elite defensive linemen usually know where they're going before they hit the portal. Remember Bear Alexander? It was reported Bear Alexander was going to USC before he even officially hit the portal. That's kind of my point. It's kind of my point. Oh, he transferred last year. I don't even think he plays football no more. So yeah, look, I don't think there is. And again, I'm not in the locker room. I don't think there's a jealousy thing. I could be wrong. Maybe there's a jealousy thing, and guys aren't happy with NIL. I mean, whatever. Players aren't sabotaging. Even if players aren't sabotaging beyond the field stuff, because I'm not going to block for Jaylen Brown because he makes more NIL money than me. Like, that doesn't. Takes like that are baffling to me. Like, have we just started watching? So, and that's the case, then that should be happening in the NFL every Sunday. Every Sunday, there should be a player in the NFL going, I'm not blocking for this guy because this guy makes X amount of more millions than me. Like, we are creating. This is the danger of as many. And again, I want everybody to have their platform. My platform is no better than anyone else's. I want everybody to have their platform. I want everybody to be able to say what they want to say. But this is the danger of when you got a lot of people on in front of a camera that don't know what the hell they're just making up narratives. They're just pushing agendas because they know it's going to get clicks. They know it's going to get likes. They know it's going to get the views. When you start making up things about guys not blocking for guys because of NIL money, that is wild to me. It makes zero sense. If your goal is to get to the NFL, why in the blue hell would that make any sense to you? Because guess what? There's always going to be someone that makes more money than you. That free agent that comes in is going to make more money than you. Like, I don't know, man. Doesn't make sense to me. But you can just, I guess we believe what we want to believe. Or I'm not saying anybody necessarily believes it. I'm just saying, like, I guess we'll push whatever narrative fits. I'm interested to see how that Florida. Nothing's been officially announced on the Florida front. It seems to be writing on the wall that Billy's fired. I don't know why you just wouldn't make the move, but it does seem to be the writings on the wall. I'd be interested to see kind of where they go there. The locker room is not split. I don't believe so either, man. Again, I think people make things. Listen to whoever you find credible. That's all I'm saying. At this point in the season, I have high doubts we end up with more than 17 in this class. Again, I told you we're going to be ranked in the low. Maybe they can scrounge some things up, but you're talking about 25th class in the country. They're going to have to go to the portal again this offseason. Is this the clean reason? No, Dabo has his own mentality. Like, let's not see what I don't want to do. What I don't want to do is pretend like this stuff doesn't work. I think it's hard for a lot of us to just stay even keel. We always want to jump to extremes. Don't pretend like last year, and this is why I don't buy the whole Derrick Ray situation either. Because don't pretend like last year, Keon Coleman and Braden Fisk and Fentrell Cypress and Jeremiah Byers, I mean, that was the big portal haul. Don't act like it didn't hit for them, especially those first two guys. Let's not pretend like the portal hasn't been a success for it. Let's not pretend like Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson and Jarrett Verse and Tatum Bethune and Johnny Wilson and Trey Benson, hell, and Jayshon Corbin. Let's not pretend like the portal don't work. Let's not pretend like we haven't benefited greatly from the transfer portal. Don't go on the extreme. Clemson doesn't use him because their head coach has his own philosophy. They ain't got nothing to do with a lot of this stuff that people are starting to put out there. Portal works. You have to be able to do both well, right? The portal works, but you have to be able to do both. And the problem is, at key positions, at positions of extreme importance, FSU has lacked recruiting, and not just last year, not just 2 years ago. FSU hasn't recruited quality defensive tackles for damn near a decade. FSU hasn't recruited quality linebackers for damn near a decade. Eventually, it caught up. Well, yeah, because I would probably agree with that, Panama, just for the fact that he would have been in the system. He would have been in the system. I was gonna entertain you, and then I realized, yeah, you're a loser. 2 kings. So I'm actually glad you brought this up, KCS, because I think this is a valid point that needs to be brought up. Some of these guys we do need to be patient with, and I know that we want to. I know we want to think every transfer portal player is immediately supposed to hit. Earl Little is what, a sophomore? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Jalen Brown's a freshman. Correct me if I'm wrong. Marvin Jones Jr. I know he hasn't played well. He's a sophomore. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sean Murphy, another sophomore. What is Ferguson? Is Ferguson a sophomore or a junior? I think Ferguson might be a junior, so I won't put him in this category. FSU, but I think Durage, the other defensive lineman, I think he's a sophomore. FSU recruited a lot of younger transfer portal players, guys that you're going to get 2 to 3 years of eligibility out of. In some cases 4 years if they stay all years. A lot of these guys you took are not. It's not that they're terrible players. They need to come in. They need to learn the scheme. They need to acclimate with there's a FSU brought in guys that we asked to play immediately. And if I'm gonna say it about other schools and other programs, I gotta say it about my own. That cohesion matters. You want to know why there's so much miscommunication in the secondary? Well, a lot of these guys all of a sudden haven't played together, and you got to figure it out. This future is still bright for some of these guys. I think, the Earl Littles and some of these guys. I don't think we should be closing the door, or writing the final chapter on some of these guys' football stories just yet. Your more senior guys, sure. You know what I'm saying? Devontae Brown, who was a guy that I think most Florida State fans didn't even want here. No offense to Marion Cooper, but I didn't care for him to come back. So the more senior transfer guys, yeah, they're supposed to be instant impact guys. They're supposed to be instant impact guys, but your more junior guys, the book's not closed, man. They are not done yet. I don't think so. But. So, bro, we haven't had consistent linebacker play since Bundy. Jimbo linebacker play was up and down. Hey, but they recruited them. They recruited them. I understand what you're saying, but Jimbo era did give you Nigel Bradham. He gave you Telvin. He gave you Terrence. They recruited very well. Some of those guys that they recruited, though, ended up kind of getting kicked off the team for whatever reason. Matthew Thomas. They recruited him. They recruited good linebackers. It always didn't pan out. To your point, you're not wrong. It always didn't pan out, but they at least recruited them. We're not even recruiting them anymore. You think Richie Leonard was our best hit? I would probably disagree. Granted, it's hard to judge a guard and say. Again, Richie Leonard, I'm just being honest, was another player that I didn't understand why you took him. And again, I'm not saying he's been bad, but FSU's full of guards. That's all we've got is guards. I don't think Benson's played bad for you. I just don't think he's had opportunity. His quarterback sucks. I don't think go watch Jaylen Brown. Benson and Jaylen Brown haven't played bad in my opinion. Their quarterback sucks. Cam Riley has gotten better over the weeks. I think that comes with just knowing who he's. Cam Riley, on any given play, don't really know who he's playing with. He's playing next to DJ Lundy. He's playing next to Blake Nichols. I think Cam Riley, 18, is coming along. I really do. And I think Sione is pretty solid. On the media touted Mike with another win in the past portal. We just didn't get out of Marvin Joe Jr. respect to. That's like immediately right. We haven't gotten what we thought we were getting, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. It's just early, too early in my opinion to write that book. You're respecting more out of Richie Leonard, not me. I'm getting what we getting. I'm actually surprised with what we're getting. I didn't have high expectations of Richie Leonard personally. When I think about the season, I remember back to this time last year when we were talking about this year being a step back because of the losing of talent. We shouldn't have assumed a few champions. So I don't think you're wrong, Jonathan. I think that's a valid point. You don't lose the amount of talent you lost and then all of a sudden think, because there's nothing that indicate that FSU, despite what people are telling you, about how Mike Norvell is revolutionizing the talent acquisition game. Very foolish statements by some people. The point is, you're right. You don't lose that much talent, and the recruiting has not shown you that you're just going to automatically reload. And I said it earlier. I don't know if he was in the live stream. If Florida State fans should only be mad at themselves, you shouldn't be mad at some of these guys that you're watching because they are just playing to the talent that they've been evaluated at. The problem is, here's the problem. Just to continue on this, here's the biggest problem is I think when they brought in DJU, I think people figured that the staff saw something in this team that maybe us fans didn't see. So we then believe that because when you bring in a guy, not DJU specifically, when you bring in a fifth-year quarterback, what you're telling me as a fan and the fan base is you're trying to win right now. And you think you have a roster to win right now. So I'm going to bring in this guy who gives me the best chance to win right now. In hindsight, they should have never brought in DJ. They should have just rolled Glenn out there and played football and let this young team grow. What you did was you set a level of expectations when you brought in that guy, and he sucks, which doesn't help. And everything around him isn't great. But offensively, it starts with number 4. Defensively, they've continuously worked out the kinks, and we'll see how that team continues to play defensively. They actually played a pretty decent game against Memphis. Again, I don't think it's a championship level defense, but I think they're working out the kinks defensively. They're getting it together. KCS thinks they'd be even worse without. They need tackle play, man. I just believe they need tackle play. They need tackle play. Ferguson has been a massive disappointment. At times, he doesn't look like he belongs on the football field. But I don't know. You guys like Richie Leonard, and you're allowed to. It is what it is there. Richie Leonard ain't giving you an extra win. I'm curious to know. I am curious to know why they let a guy like Dennis Briggs walk, and if that had anything to do with maybe because you're paying other players, so you had to let a guy like Briggs walk. I'd be curious to know that because I don't understand when you look at that defensive tackle interior. I don't understand why you would let Dennis Briggs walk. I just don't get that one. Well, I think most Florida State fans we've been asking to shorten rotations, and you're 100% right. You want to fix communication problems? You're 100% right. Stop rotating different guys out there. Get your starters and get them out there. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Stop rotating 6 players and we don't need to rotate after every play. We don't need to rotate after every 2 plays. You know what I'm saying? I think the fans expect more. I agree with that. I think a lot of people thought that we would get that Norvell would somehow figure out DJ and put him in position to be successful. I agree with that. I'm guilty of that to a degree. Even though I didn't want DJ here, I was pretty adamant about wanting Cam Ward over DJ. And didn't think DJ was, I said DJ is what he is. I thought to myself, or convinced myself, well, if he's the quarterback, then I got to believe my head coach can put him in a position to be successful. No, it hasn't happened. He's not through 3 games. I don't remember anybody asking for Master Mono's job. Sure. Fitzgerald went through. I mean, come on. Good for Fitz this year. He might be the best player on the team. Let's not pretend like Fitz didn't go through a stint where he couldn't make a kick. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember anybody ever asking for the punter's job. Maybe I just fell asleep there. I didn't. He's just a punter. I could care less about asking for Master Mono's job. Good for him though. I don't know what games I win if Brock is starting because I haven't seen enough of Brock. I would like to to keep Luke Kromenhoek on the bench until he's ready to play. Brock Glenn, on the other hand, has played a little bit of football. He's seen Georgia up close. The game should be slowing down for him at this point in his career. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect because he's not. I'm not saying Brock Glenn's going to be great when he goes out there because he's not. But you need to figure out what you have in Brock Glenn, and you need to figure that out right now. And that means putting him out there. I don't care if he's winning or losing games. Personally, I just want to see how he looks. Because if he's terrible, then we know going into next year, Luke, you're putting – okay, this is how this should be going down. You're getting Brock Glenn out there and you're getting him prepared to play these games. And while at the same time, you're going to be evaluating Luke Kromenhoek and getting him second-string snaps. Everything that you're doing from here on out, you're essentially preparing Luke Kromenhoek to potentially be the incumbent. If Brock sucks, you're preparing Luke Kromenhoek to be the guy game 1 next year. If Brock's pretty good, well, you're still preparing Luke Kromenhoek to take that job, and you have a valid quarterback competition next year. But Brock being good hurts nobody. It's a win-win situation, in my opinion, if you start Brock Glenn. Because I could care less how many games they lose this year. It means nothing to me. Because I'm not going to the Shreveport Tuxedo Bowl. I'm not going to it. And most of y'all ain't going to it either. So I can care less what bowl game, if they make a bowl game this year. I could care less because I ain't going to it. Ricky says, what's up? Thank you for your service. I agree. Defensively, we've gotten better. Offensively, it's still an issue. I believe it starts with the QB. Leadership and confidence, knowing that he can. I think it definitely starts with the quarterback, man. Everything from pre-snap reads to actually, obviously, reading the field. Man, this thing's bothering me. Hold on. Reading the field. I think everything from protections to even the drop. I know, and I don't want to give excuses to guys dropping balls because you got to catch balls. I think I can't. I ain't never caught a ball from DJU, so I can't be 100% accurate with this. But I'm of the assumption that I don't think the man throws a very catchable ball. That you're right. That was the year that we couldn't trust Fitz to make a kick. Maybe if we had trusted Fitz, maybe, but you're right. Those games we lost because we couldn't trust him because he was bad. So again, shout out to Fitz. I'm glad he's gotten over that. But let's not pretend like Fitz has always been Dustin Hopkins or Sebastian Janikowski or something like that. The younger guys can only gain experience, which in my eyes is great for the future. Yeah. He never seems to throw a spiral. I just don't know if he has any touch on some of those passes that we want. So I think it just starts with number 4. I think it's a lot of mentals. I don't think the guys around him believe in him. I'm not sure he believes in himself and what he's doing. And I don't know how you can expect the offense to click if nobody believes in anything that's going on. At least with Brock, I think they'll believe in him. I don't know that, but I think they'll believe in him. I believe he gives them a spark at a minimum. I believe they at least will be excited to play for him. I think the team will be excited to make the freshman quarterback look good. We'll see what they do. I expect DJ to start tomorrow, unfortunately. So yeah, man, I called this a Cal preview, but it really hasn't been a Cal preview, man. There's been more of me just getting off my chest what I've seen the first 3 weeks. Since it's a later game tomorrow, as a matter of fact, let me see what time the game comes on. But since it is a later game tomorrow, I think I'm gonna do a typical. I think I'm going to do a typical. It says 6 p.m., but it's not going to be 6 p.m. here. Post-game show. I'm going to have to look it up. Let me look up what time this game comes on local time for me. Again, because I think it's a later game, I should be able to do the typical post-game show instead of a watch-along. Those early games are going to have to be watch-alongs, even though. So, yeah, that game comes on at 8 a.m. here. So, yeah, 8 o'clock, which means the post-game show will happen 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's perfect. So, we'll do a typical post-game show after this one. I mean, after the Cal game. I just think some of these guys, I'm not against Trevor Jackson. I actually think Trevor Jackson's got a lot of potential. I just don't want to. I don't want to get in the hat. We have Brock Glenn. Use Brock Glenn. I do not want to rush him, Trevor, or Luke out there too early. That's my reservations. Play the best guy. Don't get me wrong, man. Play the best guy. But if it was me, you got Brock Glenn. Use Brock Glenn. Let those other two guys figure it out. Prepare them, but let them figure it out. But no, I would love to see Trevor Jackson get an opportunity. I just don't want to rush him out there and set him. I don't want to set the freshman up for failure. I know Brock Glenn's a freshman, but he's a redshirt freshman, and he's seen some live bullets. You know, I'm more comfortable putting him out there. That's just me, though. I am, unfortunately, I'm going to watch the game because I can't help myself and I like pain. So I'm going to watch it whether DJU plays or not. Because I can't help myself. And I appreciate that, Ricky. Hit that thumbs up again. Like, subscribe. If you're new, share. I got a little bit more in me. We've gone on an hour and 30, so I got a little bit more in me. Maybe I'll go another 30. We'll go make it an even 2. So get your comments, get your questions. Let's talk about it. I guess, again, it's not been too much of a Cal preview. It's just mostly it's just been what FSU needs to do going forward. I think most people seem to be on the same page of what FSU needs to do going forward. KCS says, what's crazy is Lagway looks better than our starter and our backup. Hope our defense getting better. We can't lose to UF this year. I mean, again, I don't want to say Lagway. I mean, yeah, Lagway looks better than Brock Glenn from the Brock Glenn we saw last year. I mean, I would love to see what Brock Glenn looks like now. Maybe Brock Glenn just sucks. I don't know. I honestly don't care if he sucks. I want to see him. But yeah, Lagway was a 5-star. I think Lagway finished as the number 1 quarterback in the country in the final rankings. I think he actually finished over Raiola. I think. Could be wrong there, but Lagway is 1 or 2 the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the country last year for a reason. So, I don't trust my offense to score over. I'm not sure my offense can score 20 points. In 3 games, FSU has scored 21, 13, and 12. So it's hard for me to pick us again. It's hard for me to pick us to win a game. Last week, I picked Memphis despite my head. Y'all remember when I picked that game, I said my head's telling me Memphis. My heart, I'm going to go with Florida State. Well, your heart will always lead you astray. You'll never pick a woman off of your heart, and don't pick football games or parlays or bets over your heart either. Go with your damn head. I can't pick Florida State to beat California as of right now. I can't do it. I don't know. 27-14 Cal. That's what I got. 27-14 Cal. I'm not sure FSU can score 20 points anymore. Especially if DJ's a starter, that's definitely my pick. What's up, Kenny? I know we're having a shit season, but these 2 seasons have been weird. Overall, college football seems to be lacking something this year. You think so? I don't know. I don't think so. I think people aren't used to the parity that's happening in college football. I think that might be the problem. I personally haven't felt anything weird. So I don't know. I'm expecting to lose. Kid, show me. Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm expecting to lose. I mean, I hate to say it that way, and it's not that I'm expecting to lose. There's just nothing I've seen in 3 games that says FSU's going to all of a sudden score 28 points. I mean, that kid that Nebraska has for the QB is nothing but the truth. He's a good, solid young quarterback, man. I know there's a lot of people that don't like him for reasons that have nothing to do with actually playing football. I feel like is why people don't like him. Uh, but no, I think he's got a bright future. And that was a good game with Luke Cromenholt played, not Luke Cromenholt, Luke Altmaier. Wrong Luke. Luke Altmaier played pretty well. Maybe we'll get lucky, and maybe Brock Glenn will get a. I don't think. I think KCS kind of hit it here. Like, I don't think Brock plays or starts. But there's no way, right? I keep saying this, and they keep proving me wrong. But there's no way if you go down 14-3 or something at the half to Cal, and DJU has thrown for 50 yards and a pick. There's no way he comes out and says, like, I want to believe there's no way. I want to believe. Me personally, Casey, if it was me, just start Brock Glenn. I don't know. My problem with that scenario, Casey, is what is the point? What's the point of starting DJ just to pull him through the third? Like, what? Why? What do we? Just start him. If you're gonna have DJ on a short leash, the leash should be snapped. There should be no leash at this point. So saying that DJU's on a short leash, I don't even understand that logic. Just go with the young. You go with the youngin. At this point, I don't get the whole short leash or pulling them through midway through the game, or you're just prolonging the BS as far as I'm concerned, man. Just play the young kid, get him in there, and see what he got. You either gonna win or lose. Now, I will say this. Brock Glenn probably means if he's bad, then you probably get blown out because he probably throws some more turnovers. I agree with all the people that saying, if Brock Glenn is bad, like DJU's keeping you from getting blown out. Bro, I don't care at this point if you're losing by 10 or 20 or 30. What does it matter? You're still losing. Let the kid play. I'm gonna do a halftime. So tomorrow will be my typical normal schedule. I won't do a watch along. I'm gonna do a post game show, and of course, I'm gonna do the halftime reaction. Game reps for SMU, man. Game reps for SMU start at Cal, not midway through the third quarter. You want them to have game reps for SMU, you start them in all seriousness. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Jermaine Johnson just tweeted that he had a successful surgery. If you weren't aware, he had a season-ending injury. Unfortunate for Jermaine. He just tweeted successful surgery. So shout out to Jermaine Johnson. Hopefully he gets back and he's stronger than ever. Double Voices. What are your thoughts on Mike keeps throwing DJ out there because he's something about his? I have speculated that myself. There are people that are saying that is not true. Um, but I think those questions will continue to come up if you keep throwing them out there. Because at some point it just doesn't make sense. At some point, a guy can't be 56% completion percentage on the year, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and you keep you throw him out there game after game, where he's obviously slow to read defenses, slow to run the ball. Everything DJ does, it's slow wind up. Everything DJ's got going on with him is slow. If you're going to continue to put him out there, those questions are going to continue. I've I've listened to other people say that's not true, that DJ playing has nothing to do with his contract, but those questions are going to continue to come up. And I've even speculated, is there something in the NIL deal that says they have to play this kid? Because I don't understand why you keep throwing, he's not even a kid, this grown-ass man that's been in college for 30 years, why you continue to play him when he's not very good. Raj says, I agree on the QB. They were talking about that on the game day. My main thing is I better start saying Hakeem. So last week was Hakeem's first active game. So I think, remember, Hakeem didn't play the first 2 games because of an injury. It's a rumored hamstring, which you do want to be careful with those hamstrings. If y'all remember, Dalvin's hamstring injury lingered with him almost the entire year. You do want to be careful with those hamstrings. Last week was Hakeem's first game. The quarterback sucks, but yes, I do want to see Hakeem out there. I think Hakeem's got plenty of talent. It's not so much that I think, well, it's not that the players are calling the shot through the contract as much as like the agent, but no, I get what you're saying. I don't think that's true. Let me be clear. I don't think that's true. What I'm saying is it's going to continue to get speculated, because what other reason is he playing? If it's not like, the more he keeps DJU out there and the worse this guy looks, the more those speculations are going to continue. You see, that's what Kenny's saying. Kenny's saying that he's out there because they paid him so much money. What are DJ Uwe Ungerlei's handlers supposed to do if he's benched? Sue the breach? I don't know. I agree. Like just the mention of it sounds absurd. What are you gonna do if I bench you? Are you gonna sue? Is it? I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of this stuff. Again, I don't think it's true. I just think that people are going to continue to speculate. People will continue to speculate the longer he plays. When you say he, you think Mike Norvell's losing the fan base? I think fan base is fickle. And if I'm Mike Norvell, I don't care about losing the fan base. And I'm saying this as a Florida State fan. But again, unless you knew around here, you know exactly where I stand on a lot of this stuff. A lot of us, and I'll put myself in it, but I'm really directing it at the larger fan base. But the FSU fans, y'all are fickle. Y'all are fickle. Oh, you're quick to turn the tide on everything. I got Florida State fans that have had Willie Taggart tweets in the drafts the last 2 years and couldn't wait to start 0-3 to start sending off their Willie Taggart tweets. My Twitter line, my Twitter feed is more active than the last 2 years combined because we're losing. When we were winning, there's a lot of people that I see on my Twitter that I ain't see the last 2 years. They ain't had nothing to say, but they claim to be Florida State fans. But you weren't happy when we were winning. But you're ecstatic now that Florida State fans are fickle. He should not give a damn about what this fan base thinks. Mike Norvell should. To hell with this fan base. I'm gonna just keep it a bean with you. To hell with this fan base. I don't like most of this fan base, if I'm being honest with you, because there's a lot. I appreciate everybody that is in my chat room, because I feel like we have a smart fan base over here. But he should not give a damn about the fan base. Half of the fans who don't go to games anyway. Like those aren't the people on the internet that he should worry about. Just get it together. Get these players on the same page, and get that stadium backfilled. Which that has a lot to do with also the reconstruction in the stadium. So that stuff will be fixed. But again, nobody's coming to watch FSU. I'm pretty sure that stadium will be empty because nobody's going to come to a renovated stadium that's under construction and to watch this. That's the stuff he needs to fix. But I could care less about what the fan base thinks. Hell, half of the fan base doesn't like me, so it doesn't matter to me. Is Durage injured? I haven't heard a word from him. I don't know. I don't think he's injured. He's not listed on any injury reports. He just hasn't hit. He just hasn't hit. And I know for a fact he played against Georgia Tech. I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember anything else there. And Almighty says, I agree with hell with the fan base. Yeah. That should be Mike's least of concern is with the fan base. I mean, I got a bag on my head on Twitter, so it is what it is there. But you can't expect fans, man. Anybody that's been to Tallahassee or lives in Tallahassee or whatever the case, most Florida State fans don't necessarily live in Tallahassee. Most of us have to commute. Like, I went to the Miami game last year. I'm willing to drive all the way from Texas, which is what I did. I drove all the way from Texas to go to that Miami game because we're undefeated and it's against Miami. Like, I'm willing to make – people will drive all the way from Central Florida when we're good. Nobody's driving all the way to Tallahassee to watch an 0-3 team play the cow damn Bears. Nobody's doing it. I wouldn't do it. Now, I would still go, if I was in the States, I would still go to Dallas and watch the SMU game, regardless of if they win or lose. I would still go to that game. But I've seen people selling their tickets to the SMU game already, which, if you remember at the beginning of the year, I think it was said it was sold out. But I've seen Florida State fans starting to sell those. If I was in the States, I would actually still go to that game. Regardless of the record, I would still go. But I'm not going to travel 10 hours, 11 hours to go to a game, is the point I'm making. And I don't even – that's okay. Like, I don't blame fans for that. Where the fans annoy me at is everything else. The jumping off ship, jumping on ship. 2 year ago, Mike Norvell's the greatest thing in the world. Just be consistent. That's all I'm asking. But that's all I got today, guys. I got to go eat. I'm hungry. It's 2:00 here, so I got to go eat. I haven't eaten all morning because I woke up, did some laundry, cleaned up, watched this game. Then I hopped on here, so I got to go eat, man. I got to go eat. So I'm going to go get some food. I will see you guys tomorrow night for you guys. Tomorrow morning for me. I will catch y'all on the instant reaction to Cal versus FSU. Before that, y'all will get the my halftime reactions. I would love to speak positively for once this year. But my game prediction is 27-14 Cal Bears. I don't believe Florida State is going to win. I don't know what game we win. I mean, logic says we will win a few games, a game, couple games, eventually. And if you're going to pick a game to win, it's probably this one. But I'm not picking. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to pick the Cal Bears. If Brock Glenn plays, I would maybe pick differently. But I expect DJU to start, And because of that, I don't think we win. As always, man, this your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles, and we are out here. Go Noles. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and share. And again, I will see y'all